The name of the movie is Recoil. 3. While hunting in the woods, one Dale spots a rabbit and goes into full autopilot, but the rabbit escapes unharmed. His friends make fun of him, which enrages Dale even more, so he chases after the rabbit, determined to kill something. He reaches the edge of a cliff and takes aim, only to be ambushed by Ryan Garrett or a rogue cop seeking retribution. Ryan asks him whether he remembers his wife Marianne. When the man eventually remembers his wife Marianne, Ryan throws him off the cliff and into death. Ryan has embarked on a mission of vengeance after being plagued by nightmares about his family's brutal murder. He has tracked down the members of the motorcycle gang known as the Circle to a small, well-known town called Hope. When he enters a shop to get directions to the closest motel, he is told to ask for Darcy. After that, we see FBI Special Agent Frank informing his team on the whereabouts of Ryan's wife and their 9-year-old kid Matt. Dale is their main suspect, but now that Dale's death has been discovered, they believe their vigilante, who has already killed 2 men, must be the one responsible. Frank goes to the coroner's office, where the coroner informs Frank that their vigilante is a very strong man and that Dale's throat was crushed. Ryan drives through town slowing down by a bar that the gang usually hangs out at. He gets to the motel where he meets Darcy, pays for a 2-night stay and heads to his room. At the gang's bar we see a gangster who is about to shoot a stray dog when Ryan easily disarms him, beats him down and puts his own gun to his head but decides against killing the man. Just then the other gang members step out of the club led by Drake and he wonders what kind of man would attack one of his own. He is in a hurry and plans to deal with Ryan later, but Ryan reveals that he knows his name and wonders how long he should wait on him, but Drake and his men laugh and walk away, not aware of the danger there. And the next day Ryan joins Darcy on the porch where she shows interest and knowledge about his 68 GTX, explaining that her late husband was a gearhead. She offers him a drink and a smoke, but he reveals that he does neither. She shows interest in his line of work, but Ryan diverts, joking that he is a jockey. Later we see Drake at his gang's base working out when a member Rex tells him that a man who owes him money is ready for him. Drake challenges the man to an electrified cage match. The man begs for a little more time to pay, but Drake turns him down. Drake offers to erase their debt if the man can win 1 round. The man is large and believes there is a way out, so he accepts the attack, but Drake parries his blows before crushing his nuts. Drake then starts to bash the man's head against the fence and beat him down until dropping him. Drake determines that the individual has paid off his obligation and gives Rex the order to investigate their drug lab since he believes their dealer is accessing their cash. Unaware that Ryan is waiting at the drug house, Rex arrives and heads inside to meet with the dealer, who has been visibly taking some nose candy. Rex learns that Ryan is staying at Darcy's motel, and the two start plotting that night. Just as Darcy is about to close up, Rex barges in, demanding to know the new guest's name. When Darcy tries to stop him, he slaps her. Rex finds out the name of the new guest, but Ryan ambushes and knocks him unconscious. Thanking him, Darcy reveals that Rex is actually Drake's brother, but Ryan is already aware of this and does not care. Fearing that Ryan is coming for Darcy, Rex wakes up strapped to the bonnet of Ryan's automobile. Rex's recollection returns abruptly, and he yells that Ryan was not out of options when he was cleared of the murders. Ryan keeps his lips shut as Rex threatens to kill him by tracking him down. Ryan is aware of Rex's cunning tactics and how he preys on young girls. Ryan then starts the vehicle, sending it flying into a structure and igniting a huge explosion. What was within that vehicle? Rocket propellant. Even Drake's cheek sense something is off when he wakes up. He goes to his gang's base where they tell him about his brother and the motorcycle gang leaves. Next, we see Ryan in a confessional inside a church. He remembers his wife and then the masked men who keep showing up in his dreams. As soon as the police arrive at the crash scene, Drake meets the sheriff, who begs him not to destroy the town. Drake is furious when he first arrives. Before heading back to his soldiers and giving his brother pistol salutes, Drake threatens to do just that. Darcy hears someone at her door and realizes it's Ryan this time, who has her gun ready. Darcy, who knows that Ryan killed Rex, tells him to leave before things get too heated. She tells him that Drake has complete control over the town and that the police are even in his pockets. She also adds that her late husband tried to get them both home, but was killed by the motorcycle gang. At first, she thinks he should just leave and get out of town so he won't cause her any trouble, but after realizing that she is by herself, she changes her mind and tells him to stay the following day. When a deputy approaches Darcy while she is shopping and asks about Ryan, she responds that he doesn't talk much, so she doesn't know much about him as an agent. When they learn that Rex is Drake's brother, who is also on the FBI's most wanted list, Frank is notified of his passing and notes that he is an abuser who fits the same description as Dale. Since the bikers won't let their vigilante leave the town, Frank is skeptical that he has. When Darcy arrives to bring Ryan coffee while he is waiting in his room, he discovers that there can be up to 30 bikers in the town at any given time, but he is unfazed. She notices his packed bag and he tells her that he will be leaving soon. She hopes he stays one more night so she can make him dinner, and he accepts the shopkeeper. The next day, as Drake's men move a shipment of nose candy, Ryan secretly watches them. The motorcade of trucks moves out when the last truck blows a tire and is forced to stop. The driver steps out to change the tire, but Ryan ambushes him and tells him to walk. Kirby is working on his car when Drake's men ambush him, demanding that he come talk to Drake. Drake believes that Kirby knows everything that goes on in the town. Drake learns of his truck being taken over, but they are clueless as to who the perpetrator is. While Kirby is repairing Ryan's automobile, news cuttings about a murdered family are visible. When Ryan arrives, Kirby hides his movements, and the two go inside. When Ryan questions him about the Circle Club, Kirby says it's where he runs his drug and gun operations. Drake also conducts business out of an ancient, deserted ship that serves as a second office. Kirby is subsequently confronted by Ryan for searching through his car and admitting that he was coerced by Drake to inform on Ryan. Then, quite unexpectedly, Ryan instructs him to provide Drake with all the data he requires. Then, Ryan goes outside to confront one of the bikers named Crab. The two men square off, and Crab thinks he has a chance. However, as the fight starts, Ryan is sweeping the floor with him. Crab picks up a wrench and starts to swing wildly, but Ryan disarms him and beats him back. Ryan then lets Crab go, knowing that he will notify Drake. Drake then meets with the sheriff, inquiring as to what transpired with his shipment. The sheriff first denies any involvement before beginning to divulge details about Ryan Drake. Drake is then told to do nothing, gets paid, and the sheriff is then given the command to keep the town free of all law enforcement personnel. When Ryan drives past the boatyard, he witnesses the gang transporting merchandise, including an array of weapons, and he gets a flashback of his murdered family. Just then, the deputy sheriff shows up and notices his firearms. Ryan asks openly if he would be detained, but the deputy, who is aware of his purpose, tells him not to approach Drake because he anticipates an attack. The deputy wants to assist in eliminating Drake and his men, but he needs some time to round up other deputies who are not employed by Drake. When Ryan inquires about his character, the deputy replies that he is attempting to be. When Ryan gets to Derry's house late for dinner, she asks him about his family. He first refuses to talk, but after a few years, he pours himself a drink and tells her that his family was killed in a biker turf war, and his department played a crucial role in putting an end to it. Meanwhile, Kirby is at his garage, feeling uneasy, so he goes to get his gun. However, he falls asleep again, and some bikers ambush him, with Drake leading them since he knows Ryan. Kirby begs for his life, but Drake starts telling him about his time in prison. When he was first imprisoned as a young man, the inmates brutally tortured him. When he eventually got his revenge, he obtained the names of all the police officers who had put him away and forced their families to pay. Later, the deputy is driving when he discovers the shocking sight of Kirby dead on a tow truck. When Ryan and Darcy arrive at the scene, the deputy prevents Darcy from seeing her friend. She pulls her gun, which should get her shot, but he calms her down. Ryan, on the other hand, speeds off to take care of business. Agent Frank arrives in Hope and meets with the sheriff to investigate the murders in town, but the sheriff refuses to comply, claiming that everything that happened was an accident. The bikers are all gathered in a pub, playing pool when Ryan interrupts their game. Rex is taking no chances by having his men all jump Ryan, tanks all of their hits and starts to mercilessly dispose of the men. He gets a draw stick and starts to work his way through the men, dropping them, even the girl who got lost on her way to the kitchen. Rex draws a revolver, but before Ryan disarms him, he shoots his own guy. The two confront each other, but in the following image, Ryan is stuffing his body inside his trunk. When they arrive to check on Ryan, Drake is at the bar and hears a disturbance. Ryan races off, setting Rex on fire. Then Drake gives his soldiers the violent order to slaughter everyone. The day he threw his son's birthday party went horribly wrong, Ryan recalls. His wife was angry that he was carrying a gun, but then 3 masked men entered the yard and opened fire on everyone. Ryan's family, including his wife and son, were all killed, and he was left for dead. His chief had refused to provide him with any information about the men. Agent Frank shows up to speak with the deputy sheriff, who reveals himself to be the sheriff's son. The deputy says that the circle once protected Hope until Drake took over and started running guns and drugs. The deputy sheriff is alone when the deputy discovers that the 3 were just shooters with someone else pulling the strings. Drake orders his men to prepare for battle by gathering all of their weapons. Darcy is home alone once more when she hears a noise and grabs her gun from outside the motel. Ryan runs to her and they take cover. He observes the men enter the room, then he flips the lights and swiftly eliminates the men. One man enters with an assault weapon, but 2 well-placed shots knock him down. As they attempt to flee, gangsters surround them, beating Ryan down and robbing Darcy of his freedom. When Frank and the deputy get to the motel and discover the mess, Frank makes a backup call. Ryan arrives at the gang's lair, where Drake is sitting. They drag a bound Darcy into the room, and Ryan swears he will enjoy killing him. Drake tells them they have a score to settle before leaving one man with Ryan, who hurts his hand punching Ryan once. The gangster is the same man who got his ass kicked first by Ryan, and he mocks the position that Ryan is now in. He pulls a knife and takes a seat, itching to start cutting into Ryan. First he plans to take his little time with Darcy, but when he decides to slash Ryan, Ryan bursts free and knocks him out. Ryan goes looking for Darcy and runs into some men. He throws one through the window before taking on the others. They try to jump him, but Ryan pushes them off like a wrestling match. He pulls a knife and begins to slice down anyone brave enough to step forward, and before long the men all lay at his feet. He goes searching and eventually finds Darcy in some random corner with no one watching her, and the two escape. The deputy returns home calling for his father when he stumbles upon his father, who ended his own life. Out of shame, the deputy wastes no time and teams up with Frank, deciding that he is now the sheriff and Drake is the cause of his father's death. The two men load up their weapons and their backup arrives. As Ryan and Darcy are leaving, they stumble, discover the gang's enormous cache of edibles. When Drake approaches them, Ryan quickly tells her to hide because it turns out that Drake was the 4th shooter that day. Drake starts making fun of Ryan's family and asking whether he heard them scream, which we all know is untrue. Ryan then pulls a table in front of Drake and the two men square off. Ryan takes some hard hits and the two men trade blows. The two men are equally matched, and after Drake locks him in a headlock, Ryan manages to free himself. He knocks Drake down, and Drake pulls a knife and manages to catch Ryan with a few strikes, but Ryan grabs his arm and tapes their hands together in an odd mating dance. The two start trading heavy blows, but Ryan's punches are like sledgehammers, and soon Drake slumps to the ground. Outside, the only other black man in the movie appears, and the deputy thanks him for his good work. As Ryan is about to leave, Frank approaches him. Frank declines to arrest him, saying they don't have any evidence, and sends him on his way. Ryan bids Darcy farewell before leaving town, having exacted revenge on his family.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.